We're here at Citrix Synergy 2017, and I'm speaking with Ken Oestreich. He's the Senior Director of Product Marketing at Citrix. Can you tell me a little bit about your role and how you came to be part of Citrix?
Yeah, thanks, Brian. Yeah, it was kind of prescient in terms of how the company evolved. I was brought in to run product marketing for some of our apps and desktop services, just as the company was beginning to decide to unify the code bases between the two, because we knew, and this was about three and a half years ago, we knew that we had to take things like Zen App and Zen Desktop and simplify their functionality, simplify their code bases, so that we could kind of move to the next phase of strategy to begin to move those bases to the cloud, which is where we find ourselves today.
Right, and I mean, traditionally, Citrix has been kind of a VDI company, and now there's been much more of a shift to the cloud. Can you talk about some of the issues, the problems?
It's been an interesting 3 or 4 years, right? Because back 3 or 4 years ago, the main products were NetScaler and Zen App and Zen Desktop. And over time, we've acquired file sharing capabilities and workflow capabilities and IoT. We've acquired mobility capabilities, et cetera. And then we've built out a cloud infrastructure to sew them all together. So whereas I might have described the company as a virtual desktop or virtual app company 3 or 4 years ago, it's really so much more of a workspace company now, right? An integrated set of technologies that deliver, apps and data and workspaces and contextual workflows.
Right.
So it's shifted quite a bit in 3 or 4 years.
And have you noticed, I mean, we've talked at past Citrix Synergies, and one of the things you had mentioned was, server sprawl all the time. Now it's cloud sprawl.
Right,
So,
right.
How are you guys meeting that challenge?
Yeah, that's another interesting progression, right? So 5 or 10 years ago, it was VM sprawl, or actually server sprawl, then VM sprawl. Now we have service sprawl, right? So if you look at what any reasonably sized enterprise uses now, right? They're using, somewhere between 5 and 15 web services or SaaS services. And the problem now is how much of that is cloud IT, is shadow IT? How much of that are those services are unsanctioned services? And then how does IT get its arms around making them either sanctioned services or monitoring them or somehow controlling access or the security posture for each service? So that's the problem the industry is just about up against now.
So you have like 20 different sets of security keys for each service, and
security keys, logins, data sovereignty issues, compliance profiles for each one. Plus, every service might have different presentation requirements. One's HTML5, one's a pure browser, one has a native client. What do you do?
Right. And plus the other challenge of them being in separate clouds. You might have one in Amazon, one in Azure.
Exactly, right. So they're all sourced from different places. So we find that IT is faced with somehow controlling and monitoring and securing corporate data and employee access for each one. Right? So we find this problem of cloud sprawl, cloud service sprawl.
So security has become much more of a play, I guess. In the keynotes, it was a high focus on security. Why the change?
It's not really so much of a change, right? It's more of an emphasis.
Right.
Citrix has always been about security, not in the traditional sense, but more in the data delivery sense, right? In other words, we're taking a virtual data, virtually hosted data, or apps or desktops, and delivering them securely to a client.
Right.
This is now much more of our DNA, because it's applying not to just apps and desktops, but data, device lockdowns, and now third-party services, these web and app services. So is a re-emphasis on security across all of these different services that we're delivering. And the way we're doing that is this notion of end-to-end analytics. We announced Citrix Analytics here at Synergy. And what we can do is, rather than security from the packet inspection perspective or security from the virus identity perspective, our angle is to look at the end-to-end pipeline, if you will, that Citrix manages. Where is the service generated, on what server, virtualized in what manner, how is it transported over the network, what does that network security look like, and then on the receiving device itself, what's happening there, and is the experience and security proper there too, so we can assess security posture along that entire pipeline now. That's kind of unique in the industry.
So where do you see future challenges with trying to manage all of these different services?
Yeah. As I said, it's if you're sitting, I guess there's two ways to answer, right?
Thinking like automation is becoming, AI is causing different challenges than we've had in the past. How do you see that affecting?
Yeah. It's, in many ways, it's going to get worse before it gets better, right? There are, every service has its own profile, its own, as I said, security posture, its own delivery mechanisms. So this is going to be a headache for a lot of IT for a long time. But I think this notion of AI, machine learning, actually assessing what the user profile is looking like. What location are they at? What network are they on? What device are they using over what time and what profile? Right, so you can assess if a user is using a service in two different locations at the same time. That should be a flag, right?
Right.
So we're trying to use these end-to-end analytics, machine learning, et cetera, across hundreds of thousands, if not millions of users, to look at profiles and patterns to try to understand, is there a security problem, is there a breach, is there an anomaly? And that will help us better assess when to identify a problem.
Well, thank you for taking the time to speak with VMblog.
Absolutely.
And have a great show.
Great, and same to you. It's always a pleasure.